This is Marcy Penner for Studio Calico, bringing you a little handbook inspiration. I decided to use a handbook to document our vacation this year and decided to pull out the Here and There, Snippets, and Sundrifters line to use with it. Right now I'm just moving my cards around and trying to balance the colors and the patterns on this particular spread. I broke down the handbook to represent 1 or 2 days per spread, and it kept it quite reasonable and a doable project if I did that. As I tackled this whole entire project, I printed out all my photos and a journaling card for each day to fill up the majority of my pockets so that I just had a little bit of embellishing to do on some random photos. So I have some tags that were pre-cut from other projects and just never made it on. So I'm going to fill in a little bit of the dead space in some of my photos with those and stick the embellishments and extra journaling to a minimum since I have most of my journaling on that day card at the top. I've pulled a lot of thinner embellishments to use in my handbook to keep the bulk down, so I have some die cuts and wood veneer and some stickers, both chipboard and just cardstock stickers. I'm going to use the chevron arrows and point to my daughter's shoes, and I think I'm going to want to do a little extra journaling on that photo. So I'm just going to take a label and use that as a place marker for some journaling down the road. So I'm going to move on to another card, and I'm going to take one of the cardstock stickers and a couple of the wood veneer pebbles and kind of create a border going across the page. I don't want to get into anything too fancy just because this is a large project and I can't afford to have it sit around and not be completed, so I'm trying to keep everything kind of simple and doable. So I found some pebbles and stickers that had some phrases that I liked that suited the photo, so I'm just going to tack those down, and my plan is to sew over them later. So I'm using a repositionable adhesive so that if I decide to run my sewing machine right through them, it's totally fine, and if I'd rather take them off and sew underneath and then just glue them back on, I can do that later too. So I'm just going to start tacking down some of the elements in photos that I'm happy with. And you'll see that I continually move things around and decide that some photos look better in other pockets and whatnot, and nothing is set in stone when I do a project like this. I think this particular card is going to need something more than just a sticker in the corner, so I'm going to go back to my trusty wood veneer and see what I can find that would work with that one. So I think the circles are kind of going to work as swimming pool bubble type embellishments, so I think we're going to go with those, and I'm just going to stick those down with my adhesive again once I have them where I think they look all right. Keeping this project simple really made me narrow down my photo choices as I was editing and printing, but I think it works and it tells a whole story throughout the whole handbook. Because I have such a large portion of hand journaling on my page, I wanted to use typed journaling on those little tags and labels that I added. So I stuck them and left them on my photo and ran them through my typewriter. Sometimes I'm not that brave and I'll take the tag and stick it onto a sheet of copy paper and run it through my typewriter and then just re-adhere it to my photo. Normally I don't make too much of a mess, and this time it was okay. So I will just type those on, and I think there's just the 2 cards to do, and then I will add them back to my spread and see if I want to move anything around any further. So now I'm just going to set everything back up. I might remember how I had it, I might not, and that's okay. I'll kind of move it around anyway. So I'm going to keep it pretty much how I had it and just see if I want to add anything else. And I'm just going to re-adhere these chevron arrows that I had to take off to run that photo through my typewriter. So I'm just going to stick those quickly back on. And press them down, and I think I like how everything looks, and I'm pretty happy with that. So now I'm going to take all these photos and I'm going to move over to my sewing machine and just tack all the elements down. So I've sewn mostly over the labels, the tags, some of the veneer, and any of the little kind of papery embellishments. A little adjustment there. And what I always do is I peel back the corners of anything that I can really, and it just adds a little bit of dimension. Even though it gets kind of smushed down in the page protector a little bit, I just like that it adds a little bit of texture and stuff. So I just lightly pull those up with my fingers, and if I can't get under it, I'll use a little knife to lift it up. But usually it works out all right. Thank you for letting me share a little bit about how I put my vacation handbook together, and be sure to visit Studio Calico for more inspiration.